morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me today, being the first person up here. And I know some of you may have seen my crutch, so before anyone's wondering what happened, it's bungee jumping accident, and it turns out the gum isn't as sticky as we thought. In all seriousness, though, I had an ACL surgery 7 weeks ago, and it turns out when you get one 22 years ago, they don't last forever. So it was a redo, and I'm on the other side, but I put that over there if I need to grab it at some point, but I'm probably gonna stay put just based on all of that. So anyway, we're here to talk about Chomp gums today, and really what it comes down to, why we're even talking about Chomp gums and why it's come to be where it is today is, I don't know, how many people in here take dietary supplements every day, or in general? Okay, so about half the group are users of supplements. In the US population, about 75% of people are dietary supplement users, and 92% of those people that take supplements take them because they say that they're essential to just managing their health in general and staying healthy. But one of the biggest problems that we have in the supplement industry is pill fatigue. Most supplements come in the form of capsules or tablets. And one of the reasons people say they don't take them is because, I just don't want to swallow that many pills every day. And that's the number one thing that we hear in the industry. So gummies came to be a really big thing. And I used to work at a company that is the number one company in the country for making gummies. We exploded with gummies. I put on 10 pounds. Gummies are filled with sugar. Not a great thing. And they stick in your teeth. Dentists don't love gummies either. So convenience is a really big deal. A lot of people that take dietary supplements travel. They travel for fun, they travel for work. They need things they can take with them that make it easy. And a lot of people that travel use supplements to stay healthy because of course they're exposed to lots of germs while they travel. Good tasting is really important. I actually did a podcast yesterday with a colleague I've been in the industry with for a bit, and we were talking about supplements that are powders or chewable tablets or liquids. Consumers won't take them unless they taste good. So having good tasting products is really key to a successful dietary supplement. If it's a pill or a capsule, it doesn't matter what it tastes like because you're swallowing it. You're not really having that sensory effect. Clean ingredients is one of the things we'll talk about social media a bit today, but it's trending. It's been trending. Our current government administration and MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, that's one of their prime areas of focus, other than eating protein and flipping the food pyramid and eating no carbs. They're also really into clean ingredients, and I'm really excited for it. Clean ingredients are really important because there's a lot of food additives that have been allowed into our food system for a really long time that we should not be putting in our body every day. So I'm all for the clean ingredient part of the movement. But what we are going to see, and I'll explain with Chomp gums and why Chomp really is here at the perfect opportunity, is there's some behavioral shifts that have actually been happening since COVID. We've actually seen the number of dietary supplement users increase. More people are using, and actually younger generations. The Gen Z and the millennials are really driving that wellness push. And in fact, they're over 45% of the wellness buyers these days. So there's a huge push in this movement right now. So Chomp is really positioned to win because 160 million Americans chew gum. That's a lot of people. So that's half of the US population. And 95 million Americans completely avoid artificial sweeteners like aspartame and sucralose and acetosulfame potassium, things that are often found in chewing gum and other confections, and unfortunately soda and a lot of our foods that we see. But what is really missing from what exists in the chewing gum realm today is clean chewing gum with clean ingredients. So Chomp gums is a functional chewing gum. So let's just kind of start there, which means it's a chewing gum that's a dietary supplement. A functional chewing gum delivers a purpose. So they've been around for a really long time. When I was a kid, we had Asper gum. I don't know how many of you aging yourself were in the same category as me. It was an orange flavored one. It was for kids. It was so parents could get their kids to take aspirin. It was brilliant. We've seen the emergence of nicotine gums, teeth whitening gums, And now dietary supplements as gum has become a newer category. We'll talk about the competition in a bit, but it's a newer category in the world of functional gums. And in this case, it is in fact a dietary supplement because when you chew gum, you release the nutrients into your mouth. You absorb some orally, but also chewing gum helps you make saliva. You swallow the saliva and you swallow the nutrients along with it. So technically, by regulatory and legal purposes, swallowing those nutrients allows it to be considered a dietary supplement and not a food, which is how most chewing gum is regulated. So Chomp is positioned to win because when we looked at the different product offerings, the Burst gum was our first offering. It was an energy gum that was meant to be a direct competition to the number one gum out there, and we had some unique differentiators that we made sure made our gum cleaner and taste better and have better ingredients, so that would be appealing to consumers. But really the benefits of, like, people need energy every day, people need electrolytes, people need to be more stress-free and relaxed, and a lot of people are looking for beauty solutions for hair, skin, and nails and potent antioxidants. So there are things that people can do every single day. And so these habits already exist. Again, if you look at trends in the dietary supplement industry or even the food and beverage industry, electrolytes are really hot right now. It's one of the fastest growing trends. We've seen an explosion of electrolyte powders, most of which are way too salty unless you are a very, very serious competitive athlete in extreme heat. You don't need to be consuming as much salt as what's in many of these. So taking what I know about existing science and the types of minerals that need to be in electrolyte formulas, in my 25 years of experience in the industry formulating, I was able to come up with, a great tasting electrolyte chewing gum that doesn't exist anywhere else in the market. For those of you who grew up with Gator gum, like myself, this one's a throwback to a childhood favorite of my chewing gum favorites. Gator gum is no longer in existence, it's now Quench, but that's a great example of a gum that exists in the market that has artificial colors, artificial flavors, and artificial sweeteners. So this is a reason where Chomp is really positioned to win. So the market opportunity really exists where there is already an everyday habit combined with functional wellness. And again, the word functional is a trending word. We hear about functional medicine, functional foods, functional beverages is actually one of the bigger booming markets right now as well. So functional gum, which that term isn't well known, definitely falls into that functional wellness bucket as well. The chewing gum market and the sales are enormous, as you can see, and there is an enormous trajectory of growth. And when you look at the functional gum market too, there are similar trajectories of growth in the overall functional gum market as well. So 82% of US consumers in general, and I mentioned this before, and a lot of this has been since COVID, consider wellness one of their top priorities in their daily lives. We're seeing more people exercising. I think it's really exciting to see so many people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s hitting the gym like we've never seen before. Gym memberships are exploding. Thank goodness. We really need to switch some of these trends we've been seeing in American health with right now 70% of US Americans are overweight or obese. And so seeing some of these trends towards wellness and shifting everyday habits is really important. 19% of shoppers rank healthy as their number one consumer need. So that's 1/5 of the US population, and that's 30 million people. So where there's market opportunity is that everyone chews gum. As I mentioned, half of the US population already chews gum, but nobody wants what's currently in it. So when you talk to a lot of gum users, they're constantly looking for what it turns out is artificial sweetener free for the most part, because people know that that's not something that they want to put in their body every single day. But other than the few regular chewing gums that you can find in a health food store like Lovey's around the corner, They have some really nice natural chewing gums. Some of them don't fall apart in your mouth when you chew them. That is one of the problems with some natural chewing gums. But the ones that do exist in the natural space have no nutrients in them. So again, this is where there's real market opportunity for Chomp. So the reasons that Chomp will lead is we do have gluten-free certification. So when you look at all the different attributes that sell, again, using my longtime industry knowledge, gluten-free ranks as one of the most important things that consumers are looking for. Vegan is on there, but in terms of rankings of do they care if it's certified vegan versus certified gluten-free, certified gluten-free ranks much higher amongst consumers in terms of if you have a gluten allergy, that's a bigger deal or a sensitivity, whereas if you're vegan, it's not a life or death situation. So that's an important consideration here. And both my business partner Kelly and I both have gluten-free children. My daughter does have some anaphylactic reactions to it, so that's a big deal to me. Our gum does not have any artificial colors in it, so the color of each gum is based on the composition of the nutrients and other things in the gum. As I mentioned, our Burst gum is caffeine-free, which was in direct competition to the NeuroGum product that's out there. We'll talk about NeuroGum in a minute. They're a one-trick pony, I say, because all of their gum is essentially the same ingredients, just different flavors, including a birthday cake. So I don't think that's naturally flavored, but I could be wrong. I don't know if there's natural flavoring for birthday cake. But all of the NeuroGum has caffeine in it, and it all has sucralose in it. So when we came out with our Burst Energy Gum with vitamin B12 in the form of methylcobalamin, which is the more preferred form, and vitamin C, we were coming out specifically to differentiate ourselves from NeuroGum to make sure that we did not have caffeine or sucralose. And of course, sugar-free. The American Dental Association is another certification that we're looking at getting in this next year because we check all the boxes for being approved chewing gum based on their criteria of being sugar-free, and also some of our other sweeteners we do have in the gum is what's called the polyols, sorbitol, xylitol, malitol, and those are approved by the American Dental Association. So Chomp will also lead because of the fast-acting delivery system, because when you chew nutrients, they're absorbed quickly in the mouth. Clean ingredients, as I've now talked about quite a bit. We'll go into that more right now, but also it will lead because this is really where, as I mentioned, there's not really other gums in the market that has all of these unique attributes, including having meaningful amounts of nutrients. That's one of the other things that even with NeuroGum being the leader in the category, they have a fleck of vitamin B12 because they want people to believe that they have B12 in their gum, but really they don't even have much of what's even in a typical multivitamin. So that amount of B12 that they make you think you're getting enough isn't really enough. So we have meaningful amounts of nutrients too, which also is critically important, which is why, I haven't introduced myself yet. I'm a physician and an epidemiologist, and so the products are in fact physician formulated. And as I mentioned, I've been formulating in the dietary supplement industry for 25 years. So I understand the amount of nutrients that need to go into a product to make it effective, but also to be able to establish claims on here for things like the B12, having enough in there to make a claim around supporting energy metabolism in the body, or having enough L-theanine in the calm gum to be able to make claims around focus and attention and stress relief and calming and relaxation. You have to have a certain amount of nutrients in there to be able to legally make claims. So in terms of where we are today, we're direct to consumer. We're in 31 different states around the country in different retail stores. And I think we're about to get into Alaska, which is really exciting. We have a store in Alaska that wants to bring us in. TikTok is something that we've been trying to establish our presence on in the past few months, namely because our number one competitor, NeuroGum, as a $100 million company, they're 10 years old, They do 4 million a month on TikTok Shop. They're one of the top selling brands on TikTok Shop. So we want a piece of that. And we're working on finding the right group to do that with. Amazon, we are definitely growing on Amazon. And I'll show you some numbers in a minute about Amazon. As I mentioned, the retail stores, we are trying to expand out of some of the types of stores we're in, but also corporate wellness channels. We've worked with a number of different wellness groups. One in particular, Virta, has over 1 million members. They have 750 healthcare practitioners that service the members, and we support their big events with donating product for their wellness bags. So things like that, have branded partnerships are really important to us. We're currently in discussion with CVS, Whole Foods, Sprouts, airport shops, college campuses, and outdoor stores. If any of you have dealt with any of the CVS, Whole Foods, Sprouts type folks, you know that's a very long journey of hand-holding and dating for a while before that decision to take the relationship further. And even then, an order is placed, and then on the other side of that, you will come out in their next kind of launching of new products, which could be 6 to 12 months later. So these are all very long processes, but part of this is we're trying to really create strong growth margins with bulk packaging. And so I know some of you have heard a bit about Chomp Gums last fall, and we've come quite a long way with exploring different bulk packaging options to make it more cost affordable, because we know all three of these stores, CVS, Sprouts, and Whole Foods, they all potentially want their very own unique SKU, and they want it really cheap. So in order to do that, we need to switch to bulk packaging. So we've been looking at that. Also, our subscriptions have really skyrocketed in recent months, both on Amazon and our own shop, and also multi-packs. We switched, especially with TikTok Shop, to make it more affordable with shipping, to 4 packs of gum, and same with Amazon. And so now we are, instead of selling a lot of single packs, we're selling a lot of 4 packs. So that's really been a great thing for our growth as of recently. So in terms of just early validation across channels, we've just been watching revenue growth across all of our channels. I actually put up, this is actually our Amazon growth from where we started on Amazon in June to December. I actually didn't show the newest data for the last 2 months. But this is a great example of being an entrepreneur and trying to see what works and doesn't work, and why there's dips and valleys, right? Like, this is real. Like, I didn't want to try and hide this, but this is where we realized, like, the agency we were using for Amazon was terrible, and we needed to find someone new. And then here we fired them. And then we hired someone new, and now our February sales are the highest they've ever been. So anyway, we're really excited to continue to figure this out. And what works and what doesn't work. We're really happy with the person we do have now. So as far as the competitive landscape, I had mentioned about Neuro, some of the big points about them. So just based on time, I'm not going to get into that too much. But also one of the things about Neuro that is really kind of misleading is it's 2 pieces of gum per serving, but that's not the way it's being even priced online and things like that. So even to get the amount on the label, you do have to chew 2 pieces of gum, and their primary packaging has 9 pieces of gum. So I don't know who did that math, but right. It's a funny thing.
Like the hot dog math.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I'm the CEO, Carrie Marshall. I'm a physician and epidemiologist. I have been in the supplement industry for a number of years. So this is exciting to me to bring Chomp Gums to the table. I have great support of mentors in the industry who are cheering me on, so I'm really excited about that. My business partner, Kelly Barnes, is a hometown girl, and a lot of folks here may even know Kelly, and she's got amazing business experience, 25 years of business experience. So our combination together, we both have very unique skill sets, has really just been kind of the perfect marriage for our business. So we are and have been looking at and talking about raising capital, and why. Like, we want to be the category leaders. We think we have the ability to be the category leaders. We know that we need to scale inventory. If, like right now, we've been making the smallest production runs. If we make bigger production runs, we can reduce the cost per piece of gum. We know that if we price out the bulk packaging, we know we can reduce the overall cost for 30 pieces of gum versus an 8-pack. If we do a round plastic that you can see up here, or the 30-count bag. And then also we have recently trademarked Chomps Chews, which is another sub-brand line that I know we can take the company in that direction too, the chewable tablets. And chewable like Starburst-like things where we can get even more milligram amounts of nutrients in those. We'll continue to watch revenue growth and retail growth and distribution. We really, though, in the end, are looking for a partner to raise capital to really improve our path to profitability. When we designed this company, we had an 8 to 10 year where we wanted to create the company and then potentially sell it off. And truthfully, some of that's based on our age. So we're really looking for the right partner who can be part of that journey with us, because we know we have a ton to learn still about a lot of things. And while we have a lot of mentor support and folks that have been super helpful of bringing us into the conversation, we definitely want to find someone who can help us kind of fill the gaps and holes, because we know where they are now. So thank you. I appreciate it, and I'm open for questions.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so we're going to ask Carrie to take some notes from your suggestions to make sure that we follow through. We've seen where the entrepreneurs nod their heads and they never follow through on the advice, and those people aren't invited back. So my first comment, I wanted to get Jordan involved in his experience in consumer goods. Please, if you have some feedback.
Morning, Jordan Finger, recently relocated to Wilmington. Jim's been very eager to invite me today, so thank you. My background is specifically D2C and food and beverage, and I've been in the dietary supplement business as long as you have, so I've run supplement businesses both on this side as well as the agency side. Great presentation, love the product. I know we're not supposed to critique the company, but a couple of things I wanted to point out, and then things I felt were kind of missing in the deck. Where it goes, we could worry about that later, but the one thing you mentioned, just the brand itself. One of my clients is in the beef stick business, and their biggest competitor is Chomps, and you have the brand Chomps, so I don't know where they're pretty big,
Yeah.
so they're pretty well known. I don't know if there'll be any conflict with that name.
Yeah, we have
Research
Chomp
that.
and Chomp Gums trademarked too for that
Right,
reason, so we
yeah.
did make sure we got Chomp Gums, so thank you, I
Awesome.
appreciate you saying
Yeah.
that. We're super aware of that.
Yeah, because they're on my radar, because I'm,
Yep.
just like you, I'm going with them into retail now as well.
Yep.
So the two things that I felt were missing, like you brought the team in at the end, you and your partner, but I've been very involved with capital raising. I work for a company called Freshly. They raised $100 million. They exited Nestle for $1 billion. The team is like the biggest thing
Yeah.
that is really focused. That came in at the end.
That's
Also-
my fault. That's my direction. So
Okay.
that's
Honestly,
Again,
thank
you
you,
figured
Jim,
out
for pointing that out,
sooner
because I
or
didn't
not.
agree with that.
Yeah.
I thought it was really awkward, and
Yeah.
I almost slipped it in.
yeah.
Otherwise, and I
Yeah.
didn't want to get you mad at me.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fine. Like I said, we can work out the semantics of
Yeah,
where
yeah.
it goes.
Yeah, that's my
But
my
when you do
direction.
that, keep limited. I mean,
Yeah,
I know, you don't, when you talk about yourself, sometimes it can go on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get
Well-
to the meat of it.
And just to extend that point, just from an investor standpoint, the biggest thing is like you can have the most brilliant idea, but if the investors think you have a weak team
mhm,
or you can't execute that, they
Yeah.
don't care how good your product.
Yeah.
Unless you really have like,
totally, agreed.
a product that's so unique. So definitely more about the team dynamics. Also the economics just was like words, there were no numbers. And I need to see numbers, like payback period, repeat purchase rate, AOV, churn, subscribers, especially on the D2C as you build it out. Yes, I know you don't get all that information from Amazon.
Yeah.
But you could triangulate from what you're doing in your .com into your Amazon,
Yeah.
and it's, to me, I need to see numbers. So like there were no, like I think about this today, it's like Shark Tank, right? Like
Yes.
you gotta see numbers. So like somewhere in here, it doesn't have to be your whole P&L, but I need to see numbers and I need to understand that. Because again, when I see two people and you're like, we're doing D2C, we're doing TikTok, we're in retail, that's just like, wow, that's a lot.
Yep.
It's like nail one channel, be $100 million business, D2C or TikTok, great.
Yep.
But like that, I don't see that in here. So I have
Yeah.
more, but I don't wanna hog everyone's time, so thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I highly suggest you guys meet at a later
Yeah.
time and I think he has a lot of valuable experience. I'll make fun of it. The reason I laugh at because he worked for Nutrafol as a bald man.
Yeah. I was chief growth officer.
He brought up that joke. I'm part of the Bald Brotherhood too. But thank you, Jordan.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Tom,
And I actually have kind of a question, and maybe you
Yeah.
guys can
Yeah.
answer it, is that, and I understand exactly what you're saying, but like in this, and again, I'm not putting this on you,
Yep.
but we're told have 10 slides, this is what each slide should
I
be.
understand.
So like in a way, like I have a separate investor deck,
Okay.
that if we were to have a second meeting, we could sit down and go over
Yeah.
those numbers. So I just don't know in a situation like this, how much I'm supposed to present
Yeah.
in terms of things
Well,
like that.
like it's just like an Amazon, like it's
Yeah.
a line. That could be like, oh, we went from $5 to $10.
Right.
Like we went up, we doubled our business. Where did you go from 50,000 to 100,000? So there, you don't need a full P&L, but I just think certain critical numbers at the early go-to-market stage
Yeah.
are critical.
Thank you.
So every single accelerator, incubator, pitch, whether it's to a broad room to win a prize or to investors, you're going to have oftentimes them forcing you to use a format. So I think it comes down to hitting the main talking points, which I can send you, not to give you a different template, but
Yeah.
key points to hit regardless of the
Yeah.
format in terms of duration or anything. But another comment on approaching investors is I never once in my VC career sat down on a cold call with a team because they would send me the deck in advance and had them go through a presentation.
Right.
Whether it was 5 minutes or 10 minutes, we just got into the meat and potatoes and the questions that we had.
Right.
And so this is going to be a format for presenting in front of a room,
Mm-hmm.
but the rest of it needs to be freestanding, whatever format you're in, so that you don't need to speak on it. An investor can digest it when you send it to them to review.
Right.
And then they'll probably just dive in once you meet with their team.
Because they'll have questions based on what they pre.
Yeah, exactly.
Who else had questions? We got about 10 minutes left.
Yeah, I'm kind of to add on to Jordan's, there's a saying sort of in the investor community, investors tend to bet on the jockey, not the horse.
Yep.
So making sure that one of the things that I look at, and I've seen your presentation before, but the thing that missed for me was you had a great number about supplement and sort of the huge usage of people in supplement. You had a great number about chomp gum, and then the connector about people who chew gum, and then the real connector was the chomp gum. But that you took a while to get there. And I would say, I mean, I hadn't seen what Jim's format was, but
Yeah.
I didn't in the raising capital kind of thing. How much are you raising? Where's it going to go? What's sort of the forecast of your sort of financials? And then as an investor, what's my exit? How am I going to get paid back?
Right.
Those are things that in presentations that I've either made or been part of are very important. You kind of see the in the Shark Tank. Hey, I'm looking at 250,000 to 10%.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think you got a great thing here.
Thank
It's
you,
just a
I
matter of sort
appreciate
of.
it. Yeah, and I know, I feel like the last time where I presented, I did focus a lot on the two of us up front. And so knowing that this was at the end, and just even, because I was getting 5-minute timing, so I didn't have a ton of time at the end. But I agree, this was not my favorite order to present them in, and I really struggled with not.
All right, you guys are roasting me.
We're gonna-
That's all we That's what we're really here for.
Let's focus.
I promise to
Yeah, it flipped on me
reorganize
somehow.
I
Chris, you have some
promise
thoughts?
that.
Big target.
Yeah.
I have a
Thanks.
couple thoughts. I know Jim's order, and I've been, it's like my third or fourth top club. I think it's a great presentation. I felt like it was more of a commercial for the product, for somebody who you're trying to get to use it, and it was for somebody who you want to get to invest in it. And I know your investor deck, you said, probably has all of the stuff that I would have been looking for as an investor. And really, I think you touched on all of them. I think it's just the details that you put in the slides. So, for example, your go-to-market strategy was just kind of very high level for me. I would like to have known a little bit more about your strategies in your top 3. A little bit more about how you forecast that over a timeline. A little bit more about how much the product retails for, how much it costs to make, how much are you selling, just from an investor perspective, I would need to learn a lot more about the details of the financial stuff, more so than the details of what's in the gum. From a very high level on one slide, you could told me everything about your product and how it differentiates, and then use the rest of the deck to tell me how are you gonna make it, how are you gonna go to market?
Makes
But
sense.
otherwise, a beautiful presentation.
I would suggest that you also have, when you're presenting, have some of those numbers in your head so that you can pivot to them.
Right.
And that entices people to say, hey, I want to hear more about this because it is profitable. Where is it made? I kept thinking, it's a food-like product, but there must be manufacturing requirements and things like that. Those represent costs and regulatory costs. And,
Yeah, we're
that-
going through a GMP audit right now.
He makes a very good point about the numbers in your head, because if you can kind of spout those off, then an investor knows she's on top of the numbers, he's on top of the numbers. I know what the market is, I know what my burn rate is, I know what my, customer acquisition costs are. Those are gonna be things that again, an investor's gonna wanna hear from you. And not necessarily, it's great to have them in a pitch, but if you can snap to those numbers, then understand, hey, I've got these things down.
Especially with your qualifications as a physician.
Yep.
When you pivot to numbers, that's high.
Well, I'm an epidemiologist too, so that's really where the stats come in.
It's funny, when I used to start doing all my pitches, you could actually watch the room go, when you switch from product and, when you switch from problem and solution to numbers, for some reason, every time you switch to numbers, everybody puts their pens down and sits up like this, and before that, they're all kind of like this, and then as soon as you get to that numbers back, it's just,
Right.
The other thing, I invest in people, okay, that's the only thing I invest in. I've stopped trying to figure out the markets and the tech. When you have your partner with you and there's back and forth, that's, a sign of what you're investing in. I have no idea how many employees you have.
Right.
So there are things I could use if I had to start calculating if I were interested.
Yep.
If I had those kinds of numbers.
For sure.
What the burn rate is.
5 more minutes of comments, Mr. Hood?
Yeah, I've got just a couple. So I won't reiterate the team comments, but I will say you come across obviously very credible because of your background and the way that you talk about the product. I'll echo the economics. I would want to see high-level economics and get a sense for, at the highest level, the potential of the product. Because of your background, maybe a bit more detail on the supplements themselves and what's included, because I think it's very high level at this point, or at least what you shared. Also, where's the supplement and the product itself going? So a little bit around the roadmap. What are we going to build to continue to differentiate? And then on the capital side, I would want to know what type of capital is this debt? Are you looking to sell equity in the business? Additionally, what do you want from an investor in addition to the capital that they'll provide? Clearly, this is a space where kind of domain expertise matters a lot, and so I think to articulate what you're looking for from a partner that would ultimately have a vested interest would be important.
Matt and then who?
Yeah,
Matt?
I would throw in one of my investors back in Windsor Circle was this guy named Bruce Boehm, and every time I sat down with him, he'd ask me this question: what's the biggest risk facing the business? What's the least resource-intensive way to solve for that risk to prove that you've got an answer for it? And when we got to this slide, I was kind of looking for, I call it the Bruce Boehm rule. I was kind of looking for what is the milestone. So you're going to take whatever the number is, so you want to be specific about that. And then you're going to say, the thing that we're going to do with that number is get to profitability, or we're going to test the larger format of packaging and see that works at scale. We're going to sign up 5 retail distribution. So whatever the thing is that de-risks the business, and be super crisp about what that milestone is and how those dollars feed that.
Who?
Well, Doctor, I'm the customer. I thought in part of responsibility for that February spike, I'm not sure. So on the label it says Q1, if I Q2, would I get twice the benefit?
It depends which of the gums.
I'm just starting out with.
Well, any of them, it's safe to chew. number one. So
Okay.
we did put 2 in the sample packs, and those are the little sample packs. I'm sorry if everyone did get some, I have some other gum here if you wanna grab some. But that's what we hand out at trade shows, and if we're doing goodie bags and things like that, unless it's an executive trade show, we'll put full packs in. But 2 is perfectly fine, you know, certainly with kids or, you know, smaller folks, we don't recommend doing that. And the only one that we do have an actual warning, that it's no more than 4 in a day for the L-theanine. You don't want to go over 400 milligrams in a day. So, you know, it's important to recommend or remember that they are dietary supplements at the end of the day. It's not just chewing gum. And so there's certain amounts of vitamins that you don't want to overload on.
I think Anna has some questions.
Yeah, so my background legal, so on the venture side, I think that the comment earlier about you're gonna need more detail, sort of that closing mark about what you're raising, sort of a rough idea of how much, and then tying it to where is that gonna get them if they write the check. And responsive to who you're talking to, right? So knowing you're going into a room and it's some funds in there, are you thinking about pitching them a $500,000 convertible, or are you thinking about pitching them $500,000 in equity? And if you're doing the latter, having some thought to the numbers, thinking about what does that do to you as an owner in terms of the dilution you get if you're trying to price the company down. So I think that that part of your slide would be helpful as you go into those rooms. And generally, when you say,
Can I ask you a quick question
Yeah.
about that? And again, room question. When you're doing that, is it more important to put those numbers specifically on the slide, again, knowing if you have 10 slides or something, versus having those numbers top of head, like we were just saying, be able to say those numbers? Which is better?
I vote for the slide.
yeah, most of the ones I see, they say some range of number, right? If we're looking at raising
Yeah, $3 to
$500,000,
Yeah.
or we need $5 million, and that's gonna be a different type of investment.
And what's the
right?
minimum?
Yeah.
What's the minimum investment?
Yeah, and I when I was listening to you, you got to the slide towards the end, you said, hey, I know this because I'm a physician, I'm a epidemiologist. And to everybody's point, that having that when I started out hearing you, I think would give you just even a little bit more instant credibility bang. As we go through the rest of it, I'm gonna sort of accept what you say is true, probably earlier on, than if I'm listening to somebody that may not have those credentials. Right?
All right, Scott has one last question, and then we got to move on.
It's very clear in your go-to-market strategy, or relatively clear, the who, you know, the types of, you're talking about Amazon growth, the types of retailers you want to sell to. The how for your go-to-market strategy was a little less clear, because you're trying to drive revenue and drive growth. And when you go to the team, y'all have an incredible background, but this ties into your use of funds as well, is that there isn't necessarily a sales lead, a go-to-market lead.
And that's definitely where the money would be going, to bringing in people to help grow the company.
And so on that note, under your use of funds, you list staffing, retail expansion, and marketing. That's great, because those are generally viewed as revenue generating activities, which is what an investor wants to see. You know, the dollar in, pull the slot machine, more dollars out on the back end. But things like inventory and your bulk packaging, the comments about like what's your flavor of capital you want to put to work, because there are debt instruments you can use to fund things like inventory and packaging, because you want to retain as much of the piece of the pie as you can from an equity perspective. And then I'll finish it up by saying, I'm sure you already know this, but a testament to the initial comments in the room, the more you can go after specialized investors in this space that give you the value beyond capital, they're going to make those market introductions, they're going to know your industry, and ultimately help you drive
And
revenue.
that's why we're taking our time looking for the right person. I mean, we've had folks in the long time in the supplement industry, investors talking to us for the past year and a half. So I think it was one of your events, Jim, where you said, don't kiss on the first date.
Yes, well, that was the nice way to say it from the
For
audience.
a while already, so.
Yeah.
Just remember, VC is jet fuel, so it should be all revenue driving, and investors are more willing to write a check if you convey it that way.
I have one silly comment. 'Cause if you notice my beautiful coffee mug, when you refer to Gator gum, I think it's Gatorade gum. I don't think it's Gator gum. I think you're looking for,
Well, it's not in existence anymore.
right, but it was Gatorade
Yeah, they.
gum.
I-
But when you mention it, you say Gator gum, and I don't remember that.
I think that was what it was called, but I'll.
I remember it as Gator gum.
Yeah,
You do?
yeah, it was not
Yeah.
All right,
Gatorade.
well, maybe just in Florida,
Yeah.
they had Gatorade
Okay, time for
gum.
one last quick thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So the NeuroGum that's at 10 million, One just quick thing from my sales background early in my career is that when you're picking on a competitor, it comes across as defensive. The real enemy here is sugary gum or gum that's got sucralose in it, or those kinds of things,
Yeah.
right? And so, just for consideration, one slightly different way to position NeuroGum is like, hey, there's a $5 billion opportunity
I mean,
here.
they've done a great job.
These guys have kicked off, they're already at $10 million. We have a different formulation, different product, we think ours is better, but man, we love what they're doing, and there's tons of room here, and we're on that acceleration
Yeah.
path too. And then what happens is it's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, this is a big space, there's a huge TAM, more than one company can get to $1 billion, that's interesting.
Right.
Yeah, it just takes a little bit of the,
Agreed.
yeah,
Yeah, I definitely wasn't trying to bash them. I was impressed that they could do that with a
All right.
not clean gum.
yeah.
You guys can talk with her continuously, just this part of it is over, so we gotta get Jack in.